The Dawgs are battered and bruised at the halfway point of the season, suffering a big loss this past weekend. And End Zone host Bill Shanks says it might be time for a change, maybe even two. Here he is with this week's BS Report.
The Georgia Bulldogs are 4-2 through the first half of the regular season. That's not exactly what the fans expected. Of course, no one expected the injuries on offense, and while no one ever likes to use injuries as the excuse, you can't deny that not many teams can survive losing their top 2 running backs and top 3 wide receivers for a significant period of time. I had a caller on my radio show yesterday that was pretty upset. He was a Georgia fan, and the gist of the call was, it's always something. This program is never quite in sync to have the perfect team to compete for a national championship. Oh, they may be in the conversation for a couple of weeks, but like this year, come mid-October, something has happened to take them out of that discussion. Beyond the injuries, this team has had inconsistent play from the offensive line and downright horrible play on defense. Yes, there is a tremendous amount of youth on the defense, as most of last year's group is now playing on Sundays. But what worries many is the poor performance of the more veteran players that were supposed to provide leadership and talent. Damian Swann, for example, has been horrible at cornerback. He had the most starts last year of any returning player, but he's looked more like a freshman that doesn't really know where to go and what to do. Jordan Jenkins has been unproductive at linebacker, and Marlo Herrera, Ramik Wilson, Garrison Smith, they've all been ordinary when they were needed to be special. Many are blaming defensive coordinator Todd Grantham, and he should have simplified his complicated defense for such an inexperienced team. But this runs deeper. Is this about player evaluation? 2 years ago, Georgia had the dream recruiting team. Remember that? But of the 6 defensive backs on that team, only one remains. That's Damian Swann. And again, he's been a disappointment. At some point, this must fall on head coach Mark Richt. It's year 13 of his tenure. How many more seasons are Bulldog fans going to put up with the national title hopes being over in mid-October? If they go 4-2 through the second half of the regular season, the fans may be calling for more than the head of the defensive coordinator. Perhaps then Richt will start to feel the heat that he might really deserve. He's a nice guy, but if the Bulldogs win 10 games this year, is he really going to brag about that as being something special when teams around him continue to win national championships? If the Georgia fan base has learned to accept that as the norm, then they'll probably be okay with Richt. But if they want more, if they think the talent on all these great recruiting teams needs to one day produce a national championship, the expectation of what Mark Richt should do with these Georgia teams might change. Then he might realize having the season practically over in mid-October is just not acceptable.